Saturn Bomberman Fight, to give its full name, is the story of two games, the game itself and its predecessor, Saturn Bomberman. 1996's Saturn Bomberman is a beloved classic, lauded as one of the real high points of the system's library. Bomberman Fight, by comparison, is rarely talked about. Released on December 11th, 1997, Bomberman Fight is a Japan exclusive in the Juggernaut, that is, the Bomberman series, and is quite a different game to its predecessors. This is no Saturn Bomberman 97 style of release for sure. Whilst the focus is very much still on multiplayer, it has a different feel entirely, maybe feeling a bit more like Super Smash Bros., but also predating it. But don't get your hopes up just yet. Gameplay still revolves on bombing your opponents, but because you can jump freely and gameplay takes place in a single-screen arena and each player has a health meter, the game has more of a frenetic melee feel to it than the more classic Bomberman style of games. I'm going to get straight to the beef on this one. Bomberman Fight feels quite slight as a game, and I don't like it as much as the original Saturn Bomberman by a very big margin, I'm afraid. Most reviews of this game will tell you that the multiplayer is fun, but the single-player story mode is short. They are 100% right, and the story mode is indeed very short. 7 to 8 matches that took me around 15 minutes to complete on normal difficulty, and then you can unlock a bonus stage and a new character. That's about it. There is a survival mode where you have to take on match after match to bring down the CPU, and this can lead to a couple more bonuses being unlocked, but it's fundamentally the same as the story mode, but well, surviving many multiples of fights. If you're buying this as someone who is not going to spend much time playing with friends, I can already tell you that you are so much better off with the original Saturn Bomberman by a huge margin. The battle mode is fun though, but personally I prefer the traditional Bomberman style of gameplay. I find it to be much more tactical, and I just find the experience easier to play. I feel so much more in control. In Bomberman Fights, you can choose from a number of arenas to fight on which are 3D in nature, with different relief and features, so that's similar to choosing your arena in standard Bomberman. Gameplay-wise, as mentioned, you can jump at all times, including a double jump, and you can kick and throw bombs at will. In combination with a life meter, you have a charge meter. To charge this, you just need to keep dropping bombs, and when it's full, you'll get a Deka bomb, meaning giant bomb. Deka coming from Dekai, meaning huge in Japanese. Throw this and it will cause a huge, devastating explosion that can take down many an opponent. Of course, there are many pickups, some positive, some a downright nuisance, like the ever-popular control reverser, which is such a horrid thing to put in a game, or the pickup that stops you from being able to jump, also another classic. There are positive pickups like line bombs, the explosion extent power-up, extra bombs and so on, but this is where I feel this game stumbles again. Some power-ups are hidden with the question pickup, so you don't know what you're getting until you actually get it, and it can really stuff up your gameplay when you find yourself picking up something that stops you from jumping. This feeds into perhaps another criticism, playability and the controls in general. At first, due to the 3D isometric nature, you'll need to use your controller's diagonals to move about, and thankfully the Saturn pad is much better in this regard than the PlayStation's, but it can be tough to get used to moving your character in this environment to start with. Eventually, you do gain better control, but there were a number of times I lost my character in the environments, only to find them hidden behind an obstruction as the view is fixed. This made the environments feel very small compared to the more traditional 2D Bomberman. There is a second control scheme in the options, but how anybody plays it in so-called B mode for directional control, I have no idea. So stick with the A mode. You'll get somewhat used to control within the isometric landscape over a few sessions. There is no zooming and panning when you play like Super Smash Bros. Or Hudson's later DreamMix TV World Fighters on GameCube and PlayStation 2. So you will be fixed with a single view during gameplay, even though the environments and characters are 3D objects. Also, there doesn't appear to be support for the Saturn multi-controller with its analog stick, which could have helped the controls. I'm struggling to say too much more about the game itself, if I'm honest. Presentationally, it is nice. The 3D looks decent for the Saturn, and the pixel art where it appears, such as in the character portraits, is nice and has a modern feel to it. I also really like the taunts and post-match dialogue between characters, as the voice acting is actually really good and often humorous. Sound-wise, it's fine. Nothing special, and there is a nice opening FMV as well, although it can look a bit grainy these days on clearer displays than an old 14-inch portable TV. So on to rating this game, and I'm probably going to be unpopular with this one, but given there are so many other Bomberman games, not to mention platforms on which you can do so, there has to be some sorting of the wheat from the chaff as far as I'm concerned, because otherwise, where do you start with so much to choose from? I've got to be honest to myself on this one. For me, Bomberman Fight is a 2 stars out of 5 game, or fair on the rating scheme. It's not a bad game, but I feel it has a number of downsides that knock it back. And at first, if I was rating on the single-player story mode alone, this game could even have edged a poor score due to controls and playability feeling a bit off to start with, combined with being a very short campaign indeed. But as I got used to it and played it some more during battle games, I found myself getting some enjoyment from it, though it's a different game in many respects to your standard Bomberman fare. In terms of Japanese level, the story is in Japanese, but the game is playable by non-Japanese speakers, and I'd rate it as none on the Japanese rating scale. But to enjoy the story, conversational level is recommended. I've provided some translation notes for this game via the Patreon link, available in the video description. The problem for Bomberman Fight is I can't stop comparing it to its predecessor, the beloved Saturn Bomberman, which is in my opinion a vastly superior game. It's one of the very best games ever made for the Saturn, and possibly the best Bomberman game ever made. And spoiler alert, I'd give that one 5 out of 5 stars, or an all-time great. And viewers of the Rubbish Heap will know I have yet to review a game myself that highly on here, but Bomberman Fight ain't that game. I think Bomberman Fight was an interesting concept, but one that couldn't quite work on a Saturn, possibly. Smash Brothers came out about 18 months later and showed how this kind of multiplayer brawling stroke melee style of gameplay could work really well. As it stands here, if you are unsure what Bomberman game to buy for your Saturn, Saturn Bomberman is vastly superior and should, in my opinion, always be purchased in preference to Bomberman Fight. It has a deeper battle mode, support for up to 10 players, and a much richer set of unlockables, and a story mode that crushes Bomberman Fight. Plus, I just think it's a much better looking and sounding game. As I say, one of the Saturn's best, even bettering the already excellent Bomberman 94 for PC engine. If you want something that's more melee-like action featuring Bomberman and you have a PlayStation 2 or GameCube, Dream Mix TV World Fighters is the way to go, and you can play as White Bomberman, or if you unlock them, Manjimaru from Tengai Makyo or Solid Snake from Metal Gear. How freaking rad is that? As for this one, it's an interesting curio. A relic of Hudson betting the farm on a Saturn and finding the PlayStation was the 5th generation victor. And sadly for me, it just doesn't put up enough of a fight. As always, like, subscribe and all of that shit, and also check out this rad Rubbish Heap merch, available worldwide on Redbubble and Amazon. See the links below for how to purchase. I've been Saki Endo, and this has been a Rubbish Heap. Ja ne. Sega Bomberman! 超立体型で燃えまくれ！サターンボンバーマンファイト！セガサターン by Hudson